Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Beer Bloggers, where we talk to craft beer bloggers from all over the world about what else? Craft beer. I'm your host, Josh Short from Short on Beer. That's my dog Peyton. She's ready for our interview today with not one, not two, but three different people from all across the country. They are Dave, Mike, and Toby from the Beer Coasters podcast. This is probably the funniest conversations with beer bloggers up to this point. So I hope you guys are ready for a good time. So let's get on with the interview with the Beer Coasters podcast and say hi to Peyton. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on Conversations with Beer Bloggers.
No problem, man. Thanks for having us. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey, can you guys tell me your name, where you're from, and a little bit about your craft beer background?
Sure. Start with Dave.
Okay. All right, well, sounds good. I'm actually the newer guy of the group. My name is Crazy Dave. I'm from Temecula, California. My craft beer experience, started out with a local brewery from San Diego called Karl Strauss. My friends and I, Toby included, we used to go and drink beer, there because they had $2 Sundays during February because it was Karl Strauss's birthday or whatever. And
it was $2 pints too.
$2 pints, yeah, $2 beers. So we would hook it up with the Red Trolley.
Was that? Would you say that was probably your first beer that was kicked it off?
That or Pete's Wicked Summer Ale, I think, was probably one of their first craft beers. But other than that, like I hated Budweiser. I couldn't drink it at all. Like it was just a disgusting beer to me. So the Apricot Ale is the first beer that I actually was able to drink a whole pint of, believe it or not. So that was my craft beer experience.
Mine, Dave, was a Zima drinker.
Well, that's really a malt beverage, though, right?
Yeah, an alternative beverage.
So I'm actually probably the least experienced of the beer drinkers in the group. Mike and Toby, have been more interested in craft beer. I'm more the craft beer curious kind of guy. And, they're the hardcore guys. They're the ones that remember all the breweries that they drink and the places they've been. They go on beercations and stuff like that. And
we're in the process of converting Dave right now.
So
yeah, Dave was a wine guy. We've actually converted him over time. Yeah. We're trying to reel him into the craft beer world.
Yeah. So Toby, where are you from, and what's a little bit of your craft beer background?
Grew up in San Diego, California. I've known Crazy Dave since we were in Cub Scouts, so we go way back. Mike, I just met probably in 2002, 03. I think it was just before I got married. I met Mike through our previous beer coaster, Chris, who was one of the founders of the show. That's how I met Mike. But as far as my beer experience goes, I've always drank beer. I've never been a hard liquor drinker. Never really was a wine drinker until later on in my drinking career. But originally,
it's a career now, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I excel.
He's the only one who gets paid doing this.
What the hell?
Yeah. But I didn't really drink much beer other than your typical malt liquor, stuff like that at parties. But then I went backpacking in Europe, and I fell in love with Guinness and a lot of the traditional German Hefeweizens and stuff like that, and never really knew that beer was supposed to taste like that. And I came home and got Guinness on tap at a local bar, and I hated it. I said, this is not Guinness. This is horrible. And so I kind of still was on the fence about beer and seriously on the fence about beer. But then I think my first local craft beer experiences was same as Dave. I got into Karl Strauss. Red Trolley was my favorite for years. And I think Chris got more serious about it. And then we started going to beer festivals, and Stone Brewing was a little too much for me to handle. And at times it still is a little too much for me to handle. But I think that's kind of my beginnings of craft beer was Karl Strauss, Stone Brewing, Coronado Brewing out of San Diego. So,
cool, Mike.
And Apricot ale was also another one that I could drink too.
You got to shout it out for PB Bar and Grill down in San Diego. They had that on tap there. They had a pretty good beer selection. Being for the mid late '90s.
Right. The trendy bar in San Diego actually had some decent beer.
Yeah. By the pitcher too.
Mike, where are you from, and what's a little bit of your background?
Well, I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. I'm back here now. I met Toby and Dave through Chris, as Toby had mentioned. I moved to San Diego in 2002, and that's actually, I started drinking a lot more craft beer in San Diego. That's kind of where it kicked off. But early on was Harpoon IPA. Was probably like my first experience of, well, this is completely different than anything else I was drinking. Because, at the time to me, it was bitter, and it was just like a surprise. I wasn't expecting it. I grabbed it out of a cooler at a party and, what is this? And that kind of just got me curious to see, what else is out there. But San Diego is what really kicked it off with all the West Coast IPAs and getting into all that stuff.
Mike, did you just go toilet paper a house? That's what it kind of looks like.
This is how I roll every week. I'm in the dark.
Is it cold?
He's in the dark, yeah.
Keeps me out of trouble.
Can you guys?
I'm in this third room that really should only be like a 3-season room, and it's probably 20-something degrees outside. So that means it's probably only 20-something degrees in here right now.
Yeah, I'm in my man room. I got the little space heater blowing underneath the desk.
I had the heater on, but I had to shut it off just because it was buzzing a little bit too loud for the recording here.
Mike really just blows all of his money on beer, and so he's really homeless. There's actually a little fire sitting
I save a lot of money. I don't buy as much heating oil as I probably should here in the East Coast.
Can you guys tell me what the Beer Coasters podcast is about?
I guess I can tell you that when we all met in San Diego, we all had moved. Chris was one of the original Beer Coasters. He moved to Dallas, Texas. Toby moved to Las Vegas. I moved back here to Boston. And it was kind of something that we had talked about for a while, kind of kicked around the idea. But it was an excuse to kind of sit down once a week and have a beer together, kind of as friends. And it kind of, grew into more of a show, I guess. But we kind of just let it kind of grow, I guess, organically. It's kind of, it is what it is now. And we really haven't changed too much. If you listen to the old show, not much has changed. I feel like we've done a lot that feels like we've changed the show a lot, but we really haven't. It's kind of, it is what the core of the show is still there. I think today, here we are 5 years.
It's just
plus
a bunch of guys getting
almost
together.
6 years, right?
Now, what is the core of the show? What do you guys do every episode?
Well, we have several segments of the show. Because the idea of the show is Beer Coasters podcast. We're trying
coast to coast
beers from coast to coast. And originally the idea was Toby would cover the West Coast, Chris would cover the middle section, and Mike would cover the East Coast. But the fermentation conversation, which we have on YouTube and is also on the full audio version of the podcast, is where all three of us get together. We try to drink a common beer. Usually it's a beer that's nationally available. Sometimes it's not, but it's a beer that all three of us are going to drink together. And we talk about it and we bounce, what we think about it off of each other. We also have a segment called Hop Topics where we just talk about what's going on in the craft beer industry, what the latest news is, or if there's something going on, we'll drop a quick little blurb about that. And then each one of us will have what we call our tasting flight, which is where we drink our own beer. But we try to keep it to a specific region, like
we kind of represent, each region there.
And, we drink that beer. We talk about what the beer looks like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, what kind of food pairings we like with it, what it reminds us of, or if there's any special, moment in our life that takes us back to something.
Toby has a lot of Toby been there stories. So we hear a lot of those on the show.
Yeah,
which you've already heard.
And we have a segment too that's we call it backwash, where every once in a while we might get someone that sends us an email or calls into our phone line, or they hit us up on Facebook or Twitter or Untapped or something. And then every once in a while, we might have a special guest visitor, either a real person in life, someone like yourself, or, like Hipster Rufus.
You guys just had Jake on. Yeah.
And sometimes we even have some very, very special guests, like the beer jargon guy or Sippy Bear.
Cool. So I want to start with Toby. Toby, what's been your favorite episode or favorite something that's happened during an episode?
Well, I think we all kind of like the Dead Men shows that we've done. Dead Men Sip No Ales. It's always a pirate theme, and we try and find beers that have some sort of a pirate theme.
And that's kind of a big thing about the show too, is that every week we have some sort of a theme that we stick to. Right. And so for that particular show, we were picking the pirate theme.
And so, we've had 2 so far, and now we're working on it. We're going to be doing a 3rd one. Those are always fun. One of my more memorable shows, I think, is a 4th one.
Dead Men, we're doing the 4th one.
Oh, we're doing 4. That's right. We're up to 4 now. Our very first No Offense issue is hilarious. It was the first time that we did a show without any bleeps.
Or cartoon sounds over the expletives.
So we kind of just let the expletives fly that show, and it was fun. Our rock and roll beers show was just insane. It was a bitch for me to edit. And it was just, we had, 5 people on that show. It was 2 girls and the 3 of us. And I think Crazy Dave was there too. So there was 7 people, I think, were on the show.
Wow.
And it was truly a rock and roll episode. We
kept the spirit alive.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So
those are the ones that stick out in my head.
So you guys have been around for a long time. You're closing in on your 5th season. Mike, what have you seen change in the craft beer world, and do you like what you've seen change?
I've seen the biggest thing we've seen is the amount of breweries. I think when we first did a story, there was close to 1,400. And that now is I forget, I don't even know. I should probably Google it, but it's probably well over 2,000 now, probably closer to 2,500 or so. But and some breweries have come and gone, which has been kind of sad. We've actually done quite a few beers that were retired on the show as well. But for me, that kind of keeps it interesting. So far, like you said, we've done this. We're almost, our 6th season's coming up in a couple months, and we still haven't run out of beers. So that's always a good thing, and it does become increasingly difficult to find a beer that we can all get each week. But there's still plenty of beer out there. That's great.
At the same time, it's actually become easier for us to get stuff because of the amount of breweries that have popped up, and the distribution has grown with a lot of
distribution has grown quite a bit. That's definitely something that we've seen over time.
Because I remember when we first got started, that first season, it was really hard for me to find a lot of the beers that Chris and Mike were drinking. I remember going back and forth to the store and making phone calls, going, "Okay, you guys have this beer? Do you have this beer on?" Or they just don't even distribute to Nevada. A lot of these breweries, but now they do. I've seen a lot of
But not only that, too, but you're also starting to see a lot more stores that are supporting local craft beers as well, too. Whereas before you used to be able to go just to maybe to a Bevmo or a Total Wine or something. They had these big box stores that had beat craft beer, but now a lot of stores are carrying these craft beers, and some of them are dedicated just to doing that. Like there's a store called Bottlecraft out in San Diego that's just craft beers like Central. So that's one good thing that we've seen. And then also and because of that, now the grocery stores are also carrying these craft beers too. So that's a big change. Whoever thought that that some of these microbrews would be showing up in your local Albertsons or Ralph's or Vons or whatever.
Yeah. So you guys are finishing up on season 5, gonna get started on season 6 soon. What's in store for that, the rest of season 5 and beginning of season 6?
Well, we've got another Dead Men Sip No Ales episode, so we always
look forward to that one.
Favorite, yeah. We got a couple other things. I think we're gonna do a double IPA tournament. We did a pumpkin beer tournament just a few pumpkin, right? Yeah, pumpkin beer tournament,
In
and
the
we did
last 2 years, last year and the year before,
and we got a porter. To kick it off with step it up with a double IPA tournament. We're probably going to have to call in sick the next day from work or whatever. But
a lot of fun, a lot of beer, but a lot of fun.
Hey, and we're also going back to part of our motto is the best and worst in American craft beer. Not that it's craft beer, but we're going to have a Children of the Corn episode where we're going to be drinking some of the macro beers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it's going to be an April Fool's episode, I think.
And we've another thing that I've seen that a trend that we're just now starting to pick up is doing shows with other bloggers, and I think that we're starting to connect more with other people that just maybe have a blog in print. Nothing is really video blogs or none of that. They just do blogs. So we did a show with Two Girls One Beer recently. We've done shows with Tony Leone out of Beer 411. And Greg from the Beer blog. So,
I'm hoping that into the next season.
I think that's what one of the things we're going to focus on. We're going to try and connect more with other bloggers, and not so much, connecting with brewers and interviewing brewers and stuff like that, but more of kind of like what you're doing, Josh, and just kind of connecting with bloggers and doing a little plug for them. They do a little plug for us, and we're all drinking beer together, and it's just cool. We're kind of what we like to call spreading the craft beer love.
There you go.
All right. I can handle that. Last question for each one of you. You're having one beer for the rest of your life. What's it going to be? I'm starting with Mike.
Man, lately I've been really hooked on the Ballast Point Sculpin IPA. I just think it's a great West Coast IPA, and it just kind of brings me right back to the West Coast. So I think I'd probably have to pick that one at this moment in time right now.
All right. I had that for the first time over the weekend. It was pretty good. I liked it. I don't know if that would be my one for the rest of my life. But
Well, I didn't have a lot of time to think about that. So.
All right. Toby, you're up.
My all-time my all-time favorite, I'm getting a little choked up. No, my all-time favorite is Celebration from Sierra Nevada. I think I could probably drink that any time of the year as long as it's fresh.
Nice.
All right, Dave, what do you got?
Young's Double Chocolate Stout.
He's just a little fun.
Of course, he's got to get the little image.
He was ready for that. Cool. All right. Hey, guys, you were awesome. It was such a pleasure to meet you guys at the Beer Coasters podcast. Where can people find you online?
www.beercoasterspodcast.com. We're also on YouTube, www.youtube.com/beercoasterspodcast. We each have our own Twitter handle.
Don't forget iTunes.
Oh, iTunes. Yeah, we're on iTunes. You can listen to our radio podcast or audio podcast. It's about an hour long on iTunes. And you can follow us on Twitter at beercoasterspod. And
we're on Google Plus, and we're on all of them. We're even on Pinterest.
We're out there,
Ooh.
all over the internet.
You guys made it to Pinterest. Wow.
Yeah, that's Toby's feminine side.
I didn't start it. That was Mike. That was all Mike.
No one wants to take the credit for Pinterest. Hey, guys, thanks a lot for joining Conversations with Beer Bloggers. You guys have been awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Josh.
having us.
Cool.
Thanks.
Cheers.
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 Thank you for watching this episode of Conversations with Beer Bloggers. Today we talked to Dave, Mike, and Toby from the Beer Coasters podcast. You can find them on iTunes if you search Beer Coasters Podcast, or on their website, beercoasterspodcast.com. You can find more Conversations with Beer Bloggers on this YouTube channel or over at my site, shortonbeer.wordpress.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time on Conversations with Beer Bloggers.